Hello everyone, my name is Eric McMath, and this episode is Season 1, Episode 2 of the original Eric and Friends show. We'll be covering what happens after the previous episode. Here's a brief recap. Last time on the show, Edward and Eric got into an argument for being on time, and Tess suggested the two had a race. The two had their race, however, Eric and Edward had some serious trouble. Edward pushed Eric into a ditch, and Eric had to be rescued. Edward was put on trash duty for 3 weeks, while Eric got off scot-free. And Edward was very upset about it. Will Edward be taken off punishment, or will he still be on punishment or will he have to serve his tragedy forever? Find out next in the next episode. Edward to the rescue. Eric, the next 2 days had passed since Eric's accident, and him and Edward were still crossing each other. Well, said Edward to Eric, if you hadn't pushed me into that ditch, I probably wouldn't have gotten into trouble. Well, said Eric in a teasy voice. Look who's angry! It's Edward, still angry. You think you maybe shouldn't have tried to race me, then you wouldn't have gotten punished. That's why I'm better than you. Oh, no, you're not better than me, said Edward. I would have won that race if you hadn't gotten in the way. Why did you block me anyway? Because it would have felt worse if you fell into that ditch, said Eric. If I hadn't blocked your ass from falling into that ditch, you probably wouldn't have survived. You're lucky that I was the one who got injured instead of you. So I did you guys a favor, and you can thank me for it if you want to. I don't thank people. That's why I don't care about you. Hey, by the way, who's that girl that you're friends with? Her name's Tamaya, and she's my friend. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to know. See ya. Eric raced off. Edward spent all day taking trash from the dumpster back, taking trash out, and putting trash bags in the can. By that night, he was too tired to argue with Eric, and he went to sleep. Next morning, however, there was trouble. Help! Shouted Eric. He zoomed past the mansion at 10 speed. They're pushing me! Help! And Eric disappeared into the... Hang on, Eric, said Edward. I'll rescue you. Edward ran off to save Eric. The chase. It was a very big chase. Eric was the fastest kid in all of Riverview, so Edward had to do something. I gotta figure out a way to slow down Eric, he said, and I know. If I could catch up to him and jump in front of him, I could give him directions. Eric, said Edward. Try slowing down. I can't, said Eric. I'm moving at too fast speed. Eric raced faster. Then there was trouble. The two kids were on a turn, and Eric started to tilt on one side. Then the left side of Eric's face began scraping the ground, and everything came down with him. Luckily, nobody was hurt, but Eric had a serious collision. Eric, are you all right? Oh, said Eric weakly. Get help! Hang on, I'm going to get help as fast as I can, said Edward, and he raced off. Then Ron saw Edward racing past him. Was that Edward? He said. Edward got medical help immediately. Ron said this to Edward. Edward, what the hell do you think you were playing at, boy? But before he could finish, Edward told him, sorry, this is an emergency. Then he raced off. Soon, the ambulance and medical treatment had arrived. They found Eric in a disastrous mess. They helped him get off the ground. Then Ron showed up in his McLaren P1. Then he spoke to Edward. He's telling him this message. Well done, Edward. You saved Eric from disastrous harm. You are really useful. Thank you, said Edward to Ron. And as a reward, I shall be taking you off your punishment early. You are welcome to do the normal things you do, except racing. Right, sir, said Edward excitedly. Hooray for me! Hooray! Then Ron spoke to Eric. Eric McMath. I am pleased to find out that your injuries aren't too bad. However, you still have to go to the hospital just for safety. Yes, Ron, said Eric. And thank you, Edward. You are brave. It's just what I do, my good cousin. Then, you know what? How about we end our rivalry and let's become friends? I am glad to hear that, Ron. I would love to be friends with you, said Eric to Edward. Now, come on. How about you help your cousin / friend to the hospital, please? Yes, Eric, I am glad to help you, said Edward excitedly. And Edward helped Eric to the hospital. A few days later, Eric came home, back to the mansion. And Edward was the first student to welcome him. Welcome back, Eric. It's glad to have you back part of the team, said Edward. Yes, it is, said Eric. It's good to be back, Edward. It's good to be back. Well, my new friend, where are our adventures for tomorrow? Well, our adventures for tomorrow, how about we go to January Wabash Park and watch the sunset over the lake? I love that, my good friend. I love that, said Edward. Well, it's good night for now, my good friend. Good night. Good night, Edward. Bedbugs, said Edward, shocked. It was just a Smith, you idiot, said Eric. Oh! Laughed Edward. You make me laugh, dear boy. Well, it's a good night for now. Good night, said Edward, and they went to sleep.